The sky above Trion 6 turned red as the warships broke through the clouds. The planet had seen many battles, but none like this. It was supposed to be neutral ground. A place of treaties, not betrayal. And yet, the thunder of missiles and the flash of laser fire told a different story. Corpsman Eli Mercer hit the dirt with his medical bag gripped tight. He wasn't a soldier. He was trained to patch up broken bodies, not dodge plasma bolts. But when the alarms screamed and the fleet descended, all medics were pulled to the front. That included him. Screams filled the air as wounded soldiers, both alien and human, fell around him. The alliance between Earth and the Valari Empire had always been tense. Now it was shattered. And the first to bleed was royalty. Queen Azarel of the Valari stood tall, even as her golden armor cracked. Her blue skin was torn at the shoulder. Blood, glowing in silver, ran down her arm. Her guards were gone, her council scattered. She fought with a blade that pulsed with energy. But even she couldn't fight forever. Eli saw her fall behind a pile of rubble. Her wings folded tight against her back. Her eyes, sharp and glowing, met his for a second. She didn't ask for help. She didn't beg. But something in that look pulled him in. He ran to her, dropping beside the queen as enemy fire scorched the sky. "I'm a medic," he said. "I'm here to help." Her lip curled, part pain, part pride. But she gave a small nod. That was all he needed. Eli's hands moved fast. Sterile foam. Bone binder. A shot of nerve block. He didn't know Valari anatomy perfectly, but he adapted fast. Her pulse was strange, strong, and rhythmic like a drum. Her blood hissed when it touched air. Azarel gritted her teeth. She had healed herself before, in royal chambers, with crystal waters and ceremonial healers. But now, lying in dirt and fire, she had only this human. And somehow, he worked with calm hands, whispering gentle words in a language not her own. A blast shook the ground nearby. Eli threw his body over hers, shielding her with nothing but his armor and instincts. Heat washed over them. Dust filled the air. When the noise settled, she looked up at him, stunned. No one, not even her own warriors, had ever shielded her. Like that, her fingers gripped his jacket, not out of fear, but something deeper. Trust. Unspoken, unfamiliar. But there. He continued working as her breathing steadied. Her wounds began to close. The scars would remain, but she would live. And that mattered more than a crown. Azarel studied him as he worked. His face was focused, dirt-smudged, and tired. There was no fear in his eyes, no hate, just duty. And something else she couldn't name. The battle shifted around them. Human and Valari forces retreated. A ceasefire had been called, but the damage was done. Trion 6 was no longer neutral. It was ashes and betrayal. But in that ruin, a strange alliance had formed. As Eli lifted her gently, guiding her toward safety, she whispered a word in her language. He didn't understand it. But later, when she repeated it in Terran tongue, it would mean only this: "I trust you." The medical station was hidden deep inside a collapsed mining tunnel. Old steel beams and jagged walls made it feel more like a tomb than a safe zone. But for now, it was the only shelter left for wounded from both sides. Eli helped lower Queen Azarel onto a makeshift bed. She didn't complain. She didn't speak. Her eyes followed him, sharp as ever. She was bleeding less now, thanks to his field kit and a few lucky guesses. Still, her wounds needed more care than dirt-covered hands and broken scanners could offer. He opened his pack again, spreading out tools on a cracked stone table. A broken light flickered above, casting shadows across her face. For a moment, the glow made her look almost otherworldly, both powerful and fragile. Azarel's armor lay beside her, sliced, melted in some parts. Eli had seen armor like that on elite warriors, not rulers. "Why were you on the front lines?" he asked while preparing another syringe. She didn't answer. Instead, she tilted her head slightly, curious about his voice. When he looked up, her gaze didn't move. He gave a tired half-smile. "You don't talk much, do you?" Still nothing. But then her lips parted, and she spoke with a low, graceful tone. "You didn't run. All others ran, even my own guard. But you stayed." Eli blinked. The words came with a heavy accent, but they were clear. "I'm a medic," he replied. "I don't leave my patients behind." She tilted her head back, eyes drifting to the broken ceiling. "Even if your patient is your enemy?" she asked. "I don't choose sides when someone's bleeding out," he said. "Pain is the same no matter the uniform." She seemed to think about that. Her fingers rested on her stomach where a deep cut had been sealed. It still ached, but the sting was fading. Her body was healing. Her trust too, perhaps. Footsteps echoed in the tunnel. Eli spun around, hand on his sidearm. But it was just another medic, an alien nurse with long limbs and silver robes. He stepped forward, offering help. Azarel suddenly tensed. Her voice turned sharp. "No, only him." The nurse froze. Eli looked between them. "He's just here to help," he said gently. She shook her head. "I said no. Only you." The nurse slowly backed away, eyes wide. Eli didn't argue. He returned to her side, surprised by how her fingers clutched his sleeve. She hadn't let go since he arrived. They spent hours in silence. She watched every move he made, every tool he touched. Her breathing slowed. Her color returned. Still, she refused food from others. Refused water unless he handed it. The medbay whispered with rumors. The queen who now only trusted a human. Another soldier entered, bruised and limping. "We're evacuating in 1 hour," he said. "Command is pulling out. Medics too." Eli nodded. He looked at Azarel. "You'll be moved to a safer ship. Their med team can treat you better than I can." "No," she said. "I go only if you come with me." He frowned. "I'm not part of your royal escort. I'm just enlisted staff. They'll never allow." "Then I stay here," she interrupted. "In this dust, in this ruin. I will not be touched by anyone else." Eli didn't understand why she was so firm. But he saw the fear in her eyes. Not fear of pain, fear of betrayal. Maybe she had seen too much, lost too many. And in this chaos, the only hands that didn't try to harm her were his. He sighed. "I'll talk to my commander. Maybe we can work something out." Her hand tightened on his arm. "Thank you, Eli." It was the first time she said his name. The sound of it in her accent stirred something strange in him. Pride, maybe. Or something deeper he didn't want to name yet. When he returned later, her wounds were nearly closed. But the real injury was invisible. Something had broken in her when her own people left her behind. He didn't know how to fix that, but he could stay. And maybe that was enough. Outside, the air was filled with smoke and the distant growl of engines. Evac ships waited above. For now, the war had paused. But both sides knew it wouldn't stay quiet for long. Inside the tunnel, a bond had begun to form. Not one of treaties or politics, but of blood, trust, and the simple truth that kindness sometimes shows up where it's least expected. Azarel looked up as he sat beside her again. "They will try to take me, use me, force me into hands I do not trust. But you, Eli Mercer, you are different." He didn't know what to say. So he said the only thing that felt right. "I won't let anyone hurt you." The transport ship rumbled beneath them as it cut through the smoke-choked atmosphere of Tryon 6. Inside the dim medical chamber, Queen Azarel lay on a padded stretcher, surrounded by humming monitors and blinking lights. Her golden armor had been cleaned, though still scarred by the battle. Her wings were folded tightly against her back, bandaged where torn. Eli sat at her side, arms crossed, ignoring the stares of the other medics on board. Every time someone approached her, She turned her face away. But when Ela adjusted her drip, or checked her vitals, she didn't flinch. Her silence was her permission. 2 officers from the human command staff stood by the door, whispering. Eli knew they were discussing him. He wasn't supposed to be there. His transfer to this royal vessel had not been approved. But Azrael had refused to move unless he was the one to treat her. The queen of a powerful alien empire had bent protocol. With nothing more than a stare, the door hissed open and a Valari noblewoman entered. She wore silver robes and moved like ice. Her eyes scanned the room before locking onto Azrael. "My queen," she said coldly, "we must talk." Alone, Eli began to rise, but Azrael reached out, her fingers brushing his arm. "He stays," she said. The noblewoman raised an eyebrow. "He is human, not of our blood. He should not hear what I must say." Azrael sat up, her expression like a blade. "And yet he is the only one who bled beside me. He stays." The noblewoman's face twisted, but she obeyed. She stepped closer, voice sharp like broken glass. "The council demands answers. They want to know why you fought on the front lines, why you disobeyed retreat orders. Some claim you endangered the treaty with your actions." Azrael did not look away. "The treaty was broken the moment they left me to die. Let them question my loyalty after they question their own honor." The noblewoman turned to Eli. "You, human, what did you give her to earn such loyalty? A drug? A trick? Be careful. The queen is not yours to tame." Eli stood. "Still, I didn't give her anything. I treated her wounds. I protected her. That's all." Azrael smiled faintly. "That's more than most ever did." The noblewoman stormed out. The door slid shut behind her with a hiss. Eli let out a breath. "She doesn't like me much." "You are not here to be liked," Azrael said. "You are here because I trust you. And that trust is rare among my kind." The ship jolted slightly as it docked with a larger vessel. A soft chime signaled clearance to board. Outside, the royal fleet had assembled. Towering cruisers lined the sky like titans. Inside one of them, a throne waited for Azrael. But she no longer looked eager to return to it. She leaned back against the bed. "Do you believe trust can survive beyond war?" she asked. Eli didn't answer right away. He checked her vitals, adjusted a bandage. Finally, he looked at her. "I think trust is built during war. When everything else is falling apart, the people who stay, that's what matters most." Azrael turned her face toward him. "Then stay. At least until my people stop treating you like poison." Eli chuckled softly. "They're not the only ones. Half my unit thinks I'm a traitor for following you." "Are you?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, I'm a medic. I follow pain, not flags." For a moment, there was quiet. The hum of the ship faded beneath the weight of those words. She reached out again, her fingers touching his wrist gently. "You said something on Tryon 6, that you wouldn't let anyone hurt me. Did you mean it?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. She nodded once. That was enough. Later, when the Royal Fleet medical team tried to take over her treatment, she refused. Again, they brought royal healers with crystal instruments and glowing hands. She didn't even look at them. "Only him," she said. Frustration spread quickly through both camps. The human officers warned Ile to step back. The Valari Council sent messengers to demand his removal. But Azrael stood between him and everyone else. She had chosen her healer, and she would not let go. In time, word began to spread. Of a queen who trusted a Terran. Of a human who had risked his life for a royal alien. Some called it madness. Others called it betrayal. But a few, just a few, whispered something else. Hope. Because if a human and a queen could share trust in the fire of war, then maybe something greater could come from the ashes. As the stars passed outside the window, Azrael closed her eyes. Eli sat by her side, quiet and still. In the dark, she whispered again, just loud enough for him to hear. I will never let them take you from me. Asterisk. The royal cruiser glided through deep space like a silent blade. Inside, its halls gleamed with gold and crystal. Every surface shimmered. Every light was soft and perfect, but Eli didn't feel welcome. Not because of the beauty, because of the eyes that followed him. Valari nobles moved aside when he walked past. Some whispered in their own tongue. Others stared openly, their faces tight with disdain. No human had ever stood so close to the throne. And now one walked beside their queen. Azarel moved with grace, despite the pain in her side. Her wounds had healed fast under Eli's care, but the aches lingered. Even so, she refused assistance from anyone else. When guards reached to support her, she waved them off. Eli carried her armor instead, not as a servant, but as someone she trusted. They entered a chamber lit by floating orbs. A long table stretched through the center. The High Council of the Valari sat waiting. 12 elders in robes of silver and black. Their faces were unreadable. Azarel did not bow. She stood tall. You sent no reinforcements, she said. You abandoned your queen in battle. One elder, eyes like stone, answered. The risk was too great. The humans had turned. You were not safe among them. Eli stepped forward. We never turned. She was caught in the crossfire. Your own forces fired first. I saw it. Another elder narrowed his gaze. And you are what? A soldier? A witness? A liar? I'm a medic, Eli said. I pulled her out of that hell while your command vanished. The room fell quiet. Azarel raised a hand. Enough, this human speaks truth. I would be dead if not for him. I name him shield bearer of the throne. Let none question it. Murmurs erupted across the chamber. The title was ancient, sacred. No alien had ever received it, not even allies. The council looked shaken. You cannot give him that, one elder growled. He is not of our blood. Not of our world. He is of my choice, Azarel said. And I am your queen. The silence after her words was heavier than steel. Eli shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. He didn't care for titles. But he understood what this meant. She had made her decision in public. Now no one could touch him without challenging her authority. After the meeting, Azarel returned to her private quarters. Eli followed, unsure of what to say. Inside, the room pulsed with soft golden lights. Curtains moved like mist. The air smelled like flowers from a planet he couldn't name. She sat near a wide window and looked out at the stars. Her voice was softer now. They fear change. They fear humans. But more than anything, they fear my choice. You make them uncomfortable, Eli. He gave a small laugh. That's not new. Most rooms I walk into get quiet fast. She turned her head, studying him. Why did you stay that day? Why did you protect me when you didn't have to? He thought for a moment. Because you were hurt, and no one else came. That was enough for me. Her eyes glimmered. You risked your life for someone you didn't know. And now your name is cursed in your own ranks. You're losing everything. For me, he sat beside her. I haven't lost everything. Not yet. She reached out slowly. Her fingers touched his. A small, quiet connection. No power, no commands. Just touch. Later that night, 2 guards tried to enter her chamber without permission. They claimed to be checking her vitals. But when Eli questioned them, they backed off too quickly. Something in their eyes felt wrong. Azarel noticed. They were spies, she said, sent to test your loyalty. Maybe worse. You're not safe, Eli said. Even here. Especially here, she nodded. And yet, I feel safest with you. That night, she insisted he stay in her room. Not close, not improper, but near enough that she could hear his breathing. He slept in a chair, weapon in reach. She lay with one hand resting on the edge of the bed, where his hand could find hers if needed. Neither spoke much. But they didn't have to. In the silence of deep space, trust grew stronger than fear. One human, one queen. Both out of place. But together. As the cruiser moved closer to the royal capital, more dangers waited. Plots, assassins, angry nobles. But Azrael didn't flinch. Not with Eli at her side. She had bled on the battlefield. She had risen in fire. And now she walked into the heart of her empire with a human beside her. And when she spoke, her people would hear a new truth. This human is not your enemy. He is my healer, my protector. And until my final breath, I will not let him go. The capital city of the Valari Empire floated above a silver ocean, suspended on ancient grav plates and wrapped in rings of glowing energy. Towering spires pierced the sky, each one carved with the faces of rulers long gone. As the royal cruiser approached, lights blinked across the towers, welcoming the return of their queen. But Queen Azrael did not stand at the observation deck in full royal dress. She sat quietly in her chamber, letting Eli tighten the strap of her battle cloak. The wounds on her side had faded to pale marks, but the memory of betrayal had not. Eli stepped back, checking her posture. "You sure you want to face the crowd without guards?" "I have you," she said simply. He didn't smile, he just nodded. For days now, she had refused to be touched by anyone else. Even simple tasks, bandages, hydration, scans had to be handled by Eli. The court called it obsession. The soldiers called it weakness. But Azrael called it safety. The cruiser docked at the central palace platform. Hundreds waited outside. Nobles, military commanders, citizens. Some bowed as she stepped out. Others just stared. All noticed the human beside her. Whispers spread like sparks. "He walks beside her. That's the healer. Why does she keep him so close?" Eli ignored it. He focused on her breathing. She looked calm, but he could see the tension behind her eyes. A royal advisor approached, bowing with stiffness. "My queen, the Security Council awaits. They demand to see your injuries to ensure your recovery." "They can ask," Azrael said, "but they will not touch me. Eli will show them what they need to know." The advisor's mouth opened, then closed. He nodded and led them toward the inner hall. Eli followed, carrying a compact med tablet with her charts. The hall was shaped like a blade, cold, sharp, filled with generals and advisors who had never faced fire. A silver-haired commander stood. "With respect, my queen, we must examine you, alone. The human must leave this chamber." "No," she said. The word struck like lightning. Every head turned. Azrael walked to the center, then slowly unfastened the top of her cloak, revealing the healing scar on her ribs. "Eli Mercer treated this, when all of you ran. He stays," another voice rose. "He is a foreigner. His presence violates royal code." "Then rewrite it," Azrael replied. Silence settled again. Eli stepped forward and showed the tablet. "Her vitals are stable. No internal damage. Scar tissue is closing properly. No signs of infection. She's healing faster than any human could. Likely due to Valari regeneration cells." None of them thanked him. None even looked at him directly. But none dared challenge Azrael in front of the entire council. After the session, she returned to her quarters without a word. Eli followed. As the door closed, she finally exhaled. "I'm tired of proving myself to people who were never there," she said. "You don't have to prove anything to me," Eli said. She sat by the long window again. Stars swirled outside, but her gaze stayed close. "In our culture, touch is sacred. It is given only to blood, bond, or chosen protector. I never gave that right to anyone. Until now." Eli stood still, his heartbeat loud in his chest. "Why me?" "Because when I was broken, you didn't ask what I was worth," she said. "You just saved me. The quiet between them was soft but full. Then she spoke again. There is a ritual. A symbol. Something we give to those we owe a life debt. If I perform it, you'll be marked. By our law, I will owe you loyalty until death. Eli hesitated. And what happens to me if I accept? You will be hated by some, feared by others, watched always. But no one will dare lay a hand on you. And I will protect you with my life. He sat down beside her, close but careful. Then do it. If that's what you want, I won't run from it. She rose, crossed the room, and took a thin glowing thread from a black box. It shimmered like starlight. She tied it gently around his left wrist. When the ends fused, the mark glowed against his skin, a single ring of light that slowly faded but never disappeared. You are now bound to the Valari Queen, she said. No blade shall harm you in my presence. No lie shall be spoken about you without challenge. And no healer shall touch me unless you fall. Eli looked at the mark, then at her. You're serious about this? I've never been more serious, she replied. That night she slept deeper than she had in weeks. Her breathing was steady. Her walls had softened. She had finally found something war couldn't burn. And Eli, once just a medic, had become something far greater than he ever imagined. Asterisk tensions rose in the Valari capital like storm clouds, gathering before a lightning strike. Reports of unrest spread across the Spire cities. Some nobles believed the queen had been compromised. Others whispered that she had fallen under human influence. A few dared to call it treason. Queen Azarel ignored them all. Her focus was on healing her body, her empire, and the human beside her. But even she could not stop what came next. A coded message arrived during the night. Ayla woke to the sound of her soft voice reading it aloud. The message was short. A human fleet near the border had been attacked. No survivors. The Valari Council believed it was retaliation. They wanted proof of Azarel's loyalty. And they demanded Eli be handed over for questioning. Eli stood in the doorway of her chamber, half-dressed, half alert. So they think I'm the cause of this? They don't care if you are, she said. They want a reason to control me. Giving you up is the excuse they need. He nodded slowly. Then maybe I should go. If it keeps you safe, no, she said sharply. I will not lose the one person who didn't abandon me when it mattered. Outside, the council chamber filled with armored guards and advisors. Azarel walked in with Eli behind her. Every step was heavy with judgment. She took her throne but did not sit. Her voice rang through the chamber. You fear what I've chosen. Not because it's wrong, but because it threatens your old ways. You want me to surrender my healer, the one who risked his life for me. The one I trust, I refuse. An elder stood. Then we move to remove your crown. Your decisions are compromised. You break custom. You weaken the throne. She raised her chin. I do not break it. I redefine it. If you wish to strip me of power, do it openly. But do not hide behind false laws. Gasps echoed across the room. No ruler had challenged the council so directly in centuries. One commander stepped forward. Then we must test the bond. If this human truly earned your protection, let him survive the trial of loyalty. Azarel's eyes narrowed. That trial hasn't been invoked in generations. It's brutal. Designed to kill. Then he will prove his place, the elder said. Or fall and end this madness. Eli didn't wait for her to protest. He stepped forward. What does the trial involve? You enter the Hall of Echoes, said the commander. You face fear, memory, and pain. Only those with pure loyalty walk out alive. Azarel gripped his arm. You don't have to do this. They want you dead. I know, Eli said. But I'm not afraid. Let them see what loyalty looks like. He was led to the chamber. The walls were black stone, the door sealed behind him. The silence was absolute. Then the lights flickered. Shadows crawled across the floor, and the trial began. Visions hit him like waves. He saw Earth burning, his old unit blaming him. The battlefield on Tryon 6, Azrael, broken and bleeding. He saw her reach for him, then vanish, then scream. Pain filled his chest, fear clawed at his mind. But he stood. He whispered her name, again and again, until the shadows faded and the silence returned. The door opened. He stepped out, sweating and pale, but alive. Gasps rose around him. No human had ever survived the trial. Azrael walked to him and took his hand in front of the entire court. You asked for proof. Here he stands. And I will not be questioned again. The elders fell silent. The judgment in their eyes faded. Some even bowed their heads. Later that night, Azrael sat beside him, her fingers tracing the edge of the trial mark now burned into his palm. You walked through death for me. Again, I meant what I said, Eli replied. No one touches you, no one takes you. As long as I breathe. She leaned closer, her voice softer than ever. Then I give you this truth. I no longer keep you because I need healing. I keep you because without you, I am not whole. In the heart of an alien palace, two souls, once strangers, stood against centuries of fear and pride, and the stars above no longer seemed so far away. The crown hall of the Valari Palace had never known stillness like this, not even during war, not even during coronation. Hundreds of nobles filled the chamber, but no one moved. All eyes were on the queen and the human standing beside her. Azrael wore her ceremonial armor. Newly reforged, it gleamed in gold and obsidian. Her wings unfolded behind her with quiet strength. But it wasn't her armor or her throne that gave the room pause. It was the way she held Eli's hand as if it were more valuable than any weapon. The Great Concord was being rewritten. After centuries of isolation, the Valari would open alliance talks with humanity. Azrael had made that choice. And she had named Eli as her personal envoy and permanent guardian. The council was forced to agree after the trial of loyalty. A human surviving such an ordeal was unheard of. No one could question his devotion now. But politics was only part of the fire building behind the scenes. Some still wanted Eli gone. Not for what he'd done, but for what he represented. A future where bloodlines didn't decide honor. A future where trust was not based on species. A message arrived in secret, carried by a traitor within the palace. An attack was planned during the Queen's next public appearance. The goal was simple: remove Eli, discredit the Queen, and force her to surrender the throne. Azrael received the message hours before the event. She stood in her chamber, eyes dark with thought. They mean to strike at you, she said. Eli nodded. Then they'll come for me when I'm most exposed. When I'm near you in public. Exactly, she said. And I will not let them succeed. He looked at her, calm and steady. I'm not hiding. If they try to kill me, they'll find. I'm harder to break than they think. She stepped closer, placing her hand over his chest. I have lost too many people. I won't lose you. Not to cowards in the shadows. They planned the next day carefully. The Queen would speak from the crystal balcony overlooking the Capitol Square. Eli would be beside her, not behind. Not beneath, beside, equal in position. Equal in presence. The crowd gathered beneath the palace steps. Screens lit across the city. This was more than a speech. This was a declaration of unity. Azrael stepped forward as the horn sounded. The sky was blue. The air was still. Eli stood on her left, armored, silent, eyes scanning every angle. She spoke with strength. I fought beside humans. I bled beside them. And I found something your codes forgot: honor without pride, strength without cruelty, and love without chains. A shadow flicked across the high tower, a silent drone. Small and sharp, unmarked. Armed, Eli saw it first. He moved without thought. His body turned, placing himself between Azrael and the path of the dart. A single crack split the silence. The crowd gasped as something struck his shoulder. He fell to one knee, but didn't drop. His hand went to his weapon, his other to Azrael's cloak, steadying her. "I'm fine," he growled. The guard scrambled. The drone was already gone, but the moment had been seen by thousands. The human had taken the strike. Again, Azrael didn't flinch. She stepped forward. "You see now. This is the loyalty I speak of. This is why I choose him. Not because he is human, but because he is true." Medics rushed to Eli, but he waved them off. "She said no one touches her but me," he said through clenched teeth. "That goes both ways now." He treated himself under her watch. The wound was clean, painful, but not fatal. Just like Tryon 6, another scar added to the story. That night, Azrael sat beside him as he rested. The lights were dim. Her voice was low. "They failed today, but others will try again. Are you still willing to walk this road with me?" He turned his head slowly. "I didn't walk into this by accident. I chose you. And I'll keep choosing you, no matter the risk." Her hand found his. No crown between them, no title. Just warmth. From that day, no one questioned their bond again. It had been carved in blood, tested in fire, and sealed before the eyes of an entire world. The queen who refused every healer had chosen a single man to stand beside her, and the galaxy would remember what that choice meant. Asterisk peace did not come easily to the Velari Empire. Even after the trial, the drone attack, and the queen's public vow, danger still walked the halls of the palace. Whispers of rebellion crept behind golden doors. Not everyone accepted the human who now walked beside the throne. But Eli didn't come for titles. He didn't come to rule or lead. He stayed because of a promise, a simple one. He would never let her be alone in pain again. Azrael trusted him with matters no one else heard. Her injuries, her doubts, her plans for peace. She listened to his voice when her own grew weary. When others doubted her strength, she let his calm silence speak in her place. A summit was arranged. Human diplomats arrived from Earth, escorted by Terran warships. The alliance was being reborn. Not through politics, but through something far older. Loyalty, sacrifice, respect earned on the battlefield. Azrael entered the grand chamber with Eli on her right. For the first time, he wore official Velari armor, forged in their finest forge. It bore no rank, no sigil. Just one mark over the heart, the queen's symbol, shaped like a flame inside a circle. The human ambassador blinked in surprise. "You trust him that much?" Azrael nodded. "He held my life in his hands and gave it back. That trust goes beyond blood." The talks began. They were tense at first. Old wounds reopened, but Eli's presence shifted the room. He spoke when needed, briefly, clearly. His voice was not political. It was human, honest, and that made them listen. A final agreement was reached. Trade routes would reopen. Joint relief missions would be organized. Military cooperation would begin under new shared command. The summit closed with a quiet ceremony. No fireworks, no feast. Just a moment where the queen stood before both species and declared something new. We are not bound by history. We are shaped by it, and from it, we choose to rise. Not as rulers and soldiers, but as beings who dared to trust across the scars. Later, that night, the stars above the capital burned clear. Eli stood on the balcony alone, breathing in the cold air. Behind him, Azrael stepped out in silence. She wore no crown, no armor, just a simple robe, pale as moonlight. "You should be inside," she said softly. "Your shoulder still aches." "It's fine," he replied. "Pain reminds me I'm alive." She stood beside him, close but not touching. "Tomorrow they will ask me to name a new heir. The Empire wants future security. But I no longer believe in rule by blood alone. He looked at her. Then what do you believe in? I believe in choice, she said. In chosen bonds. In earned loyalty. In building a future with those who stand through the fire and stay. He didn't answer with words. He turned to her, took her hand, held it like something sacred. She leaned into him, forehead resting gently against his. I may wear the crown, but you carry my heart, not by force, but because you were kind when I was broken. And that saved me more than medicine ever could. He smiled. And you made me more than I ever thought I could be. Not a healer, not a soldier, just someone who mattered. She kissed his forehead with the weight of a vow. You will never stand behind me. You will always stand with me. In the weeks that followed, the bond between Earth and the Valari Empire deepened. Other species took notice. Former enemies asked questions. Old allies returned with hope. And it all began with a medic who didn't turn away from a wounded queen. Azrael and Eli became a symbol across the stars. Not for power, not for dominance, but for healing. For choosing peace when war had left them hollow. And in the quiet moments, away from the politics and light, the queen would still ask him the simplest question, will you stay? And every time he gave the same answer, I already have.